Good evening and welcome to a Mitch and Mocking About the Cards podcast. I'm Mitchell and joined as always by the two-time defending United States champion World Championship Wrestling. Currently, he is the owner and proprietor of the Superstition Ranch there in Chandler, Arizona, where Sunday night is the Sydney Sweeney Lookalike Contest. Euphoria is back on the air after an absence, so the short out might be kind of quick as I'm getting ready to get into some teeny bopper drama. So I really ever seen Euphoria?
I had to watch the first season with my wife, and she's watched it like 7 times, and everybody when it was big, she kept having every time somebody come over, she's like, "Hey, you gotta watch this with me." So I had to watch it so many friggin' times, and I was like, "I'm just kinda done at this point. I don't need to watch this anymore."
Much like the Cardinals bullpen, it's a disaster.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it did launch Zendaya. I mean, Sydney Sweeney's everywhere. We just watched her movie, The House Guest or The Housemaid last night. It was an all right flick. I
Right.
mean, 2 hours of my life I probably won't get back, but as is the most of Sydney Sweeney's work. But it was well worth the watch. Tyrell, the Cardinals dropped 2 out of 3 at home to the Boston Red Sox. Dustin May looked pretty solid Friday night, which is what we were all kind of hoping for. My kind of notes on the rest of the series, not a whole lot out of the ordinary here. Jordan Walker is him. More on him in a moment. JJ Weatherhold's defense at second base is probably elite. It was nice to see Wilson Contreras get a standing ovation.
Mhm.
The cons, Palante sucks. Simple as that. And I don't think Kyle Leahy's it in the rotation. And then the offense outside of Jordan Walker, stone cold. Kind of what are your thoughts of those 3 games in Boston?
I was kinda went exactly opposite of how we predicted. That first game looked really good, soft and lefty. Didn't mess him up too much. It's a pretty good game there. Suarez just dominated the next, but he looked hittable at times. And they got the bases loaded or a couple times, and he pitched around guys, so they were trying to put pressure on him, but it just didn't. In the end, didn't work out. And today's game, like I listened to it on halfway on the radio, and I was like, "Okay, I'm good." But I missed that Walker home run. So again, starting pitching is going to be. We say we got plenty of it, but I don't think we do. I think we're on this Leahy is just that another resurrection project to me, from a reliever to a starter, and it just gets repetitive sometimes. Like if you think Quinn Matthews is the guy, bring him up. Like, is Leahy really going to be that guy of your future?
Traditionally, that doesn't work so well converting a guy, especially in the first year. You can use the Wainwright example, but he was, 22, 23 years old and only worked a year out of the pen, had been a starter his whole career. Braden Looper ended up being an average big league starter, which I think that's all we can hope for with Kyle Leahy.
Hmm.
But if you can move him into the bullpen, more on that here in just a second, now you're kind of fix your problems because outside of JoJo and Ryan O'Brien, that bullpen has been absolutely atrocious.
Soriano did pretty good the other night, but I mean, what do you expect out of him too much? Because he is new to our organization, so I don't really know too much about him. But yeah, everybody else is just, whoo, it
You
looks.
know, I looked down at Memphis. As we kind of move to our next topic here about bullpen help. Dickie Fitz throwing the ball real well. Hunter Dobbins looks great in the rotation. His rehab, he's got, I think, just 10 days left there. Ryan Fernandez has been okay. And a correction from our previous show, Tink Hens is actually thrown in the pin for Memphis, and he's looked really well. There's 4 names right there that could probably take spots on your big league roster right now. And you could throw Fitz or Dobbins in Palante's spot or even Kyle Leahy's spot, if not both. And now if you throw Leahy in your pin, now you've added another weapon. And Tink's looking really well down in Memphis.
Yeah. That's a good point. You shore up that bullpen by bringing Leahy back in there, and I think during our preview episode, I had kind of said that Dustin May will be the first half Cy Young, but second half Cy Young is going to be Tink Hens because I think that's really they're going to bring him up and he's going to work out a pen. He's going to be a la Anthony Reyes. Um, that would be awesome to shore up that bullpen because I think this team can win baseball games. They're going to be dirty 4-3. Sometimes they're going to get blown out like they did today 7-1, but they're going to play some tough ball and they're going to need a pretty decent bullpen to back them up because I think they can now out kick the coverage that we think they are after watching this gritty gutty performance for the last week or so.
8-6 after the first 14, probably better than we all expected. Really could be 10-4.
Mhm.
When you take out a couple bullpen losses and some other games in there where the starters aren't going great, you gotta wonder, are they gonna let Fitz and Dobbins just kind of marinate through the early part of the summer until Dustin May, who looked really solid Friday night, gets moved inevitably? Traditionally, they are slow to pull the hook on starters. See Miles Michaelis and Eric Fetty last year.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I hope they don't. I think they're giving Palante and Leahy that what they said all last year, that runway. And Palante's also just another, if you would put him back in the bullpen, oh my goodness. You put Leahy and um Palante back there, you've got something there for some help there. And then I see them better that way, and then bring up those younger guys. Now you're talking about we're not going to do as good anymore because maybe Palante with his experience might be a little better, but Dick Fitz pitched last year. So I mean,
I think both those guys are Fitz and Dobbins are back into the rotation guys that should be throwing in St. Louis and not throwing innings in Memphis right now. It just makes no sense. I understand. Well, we're not. It's a tryout year essentially. You're 8-6. You're a game back from behind Pittsburgh right now. Keep going until you can't.
mhm. Yep.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, because and also you bring those guys up and put them in, like you said, this core of players are all going to go through the winning again by them with each other. It's going to make them stronger, and I think it'd be really unite this team to push forward 2 seasons from now when they really need that help.
And speaking of help, let's talk about the bench for a second. The lineup is starting to shape up a little bit. Jordan Walker, another monster series. The fact that he didn't win Player of the Week is criminal
Hmm.
at this point. He went to Woods over in Washington. Another couple home runs this series. Looks like he's figured it out. But outside of Jordan Walker, the offense is atrocious. Burley did homer today. Pedro Paz is the closest thing to an out you can get in the big leagues, while Jimmy Crooks crushing the ball at a 280 plus clip with 5 home runs in Memphis.
I think it's time to pull that trigger. I know that they like Paez's defense, but I mean, switch him and Herrera. Like, just keep rotating him in and out. Herrera can handle it. Again, like we said last podcast, you got Yadier Molina set over there. He can help any prospect out. Like, he's going to take him one up, like you said. I think Paez hitting 165, man. Like that. If you're not going to have Victor Scott hit, if Mason Wynn isn't going to hit, like he could, Walker's the only one hitting. You cannot have a third or fourth. Heck, Gorman didn't hit that much. A fourth friggin' lineup spot. There's no production coming out of. You need some production in this offense other than Jordan Walker.
If you're gonna not hit, if you're not going to hit, you better have elite defense behind the plate. And Paez is barely above league average, if not league average behind the plate. So I don't know if he's, this superstar back there defensively. He's not Yachty. He's not Ivan Rodriguez. We could probably go without him behind the plate and let Crooks free. He can learn. Guys call their own games now, or the game's called from the bench anyway. It's not like he's calling a ton of games.
Yeah, I think the one good thing about Paz is that isn't his frame rate's really good. And I know that's something that everybody worries about now with this ABS.
Frame rate's top, but also when we're talking about, kind of the Memphis Mafia 2.0, the original Memphis Mafia, Greg Garcia, Daniel Descalzo, Alan Craig, those guys who played in Memphis and then played key roles on that championship team in 11 and 13. Blaze Jordan is still knocking the hell out of the ball. Baez still playing. Like, what are we doing? Free those guys down in Memphis, especially when you're running Jose Fermin out in left field for a steer.
Yeah, yeah. I can't dispute your logic there, man. I really can't. I think it's if this is a growing pains year and we're supposed to rebuild, I mean, let's all in or all out. Like, let's not half-ass this at all.
And that kind of seems where we're at with it. We are, and I understand Mason Wynn's been hurt, so Sajasi has to play short. Normally would be in left, and he's hit the ball pretty well here lately. But you've got your next best batting prospect in Memphis, hitting pretty solid. Again, rebuild year, whatever. Let's see it against big league pitching. Why not? As opposed to just, again, Jose Fermin taking meaningful at bats.
You're right.
You said you listened to the game on the radio today. When they opened the broadcast up, there was that panoramic shot of Bush. Tyrell, it looked empty. Now I don't have the full attendance numbers for today. Last night, a Saturday night game, with pretty solid weather was 31,664. Currently, the Cardinals rank 10th out of 15 in the National League with the average attendance of just 27,000. That is actually up from about 100 people from last year early, but it's down roughly 9,000 from 2024, and it is down roughly 14,000 from 2023. Essentially, in 3 years, they've lost 13,000 paying customers on average through the door. I'm not a math guy, but 13,000 times 81 is not a good number.
No, not at all. That's it's where we're at as a franchise. That's where we knew we were going to get there. We had to hit a bottom before we could crawl back to the top. I think St. Louis is a good market for baseball. I think all those fans will come back. They needed to see a regime change. They're going to need to see some winning baseball too. I think some diehard fans are probably still holding out because Ollie's still involved in this organization, and I think a lot of people still think him as a Mo guy, even though he is. I will say my druthers. I'm not a fan of Ollie, but has actually managed a pretty decent game so far this year. Can't fault you too much. But then I also wonder this: like, is Major League Baseball like screwing themselves like by starting the season so early? Like we used to start right around now. Wasn't 20 years ago the first series of Bush was put just this weekend?
Last weekend, I believe.
Last yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're talking about the first week in April. Like baseball started in this like the last week of March. Like you're pushing this up so much further now. Now you don't have families ready to go. You don't have kids out of school. I mean, how are you just messing yourself up with this and not getting your market like you should?
They start earlier every year just because, again, the World Series goes so long now. We get November baseball. It makes no sense why we're starting at the end of March. We should roll it the first weekend in April. The first Sunday should be Master Sunday, etc. I don't understand the scheduling, especially in some of these cities like St. Louis, Chicago, Cincinnati, where the weather is crap. We got lucky this year. Baseball again has just problem upon problem, and we'll talk about that on a different show and how to fix it. But that's one of them, is you can't get to your audience because everybody's at work. You got a 12:15 pitch on Wednesday, the old traditional businessman special. I'm going to guess that's going to be less than 20,000 people. Heck, tomorrow night, Monday night, with a 6:45 pitch, $7 ticket still available at 8:15 Sunday night St. Louis time.
Criminal.
It's sad what that park has become to. 20 years in, 20,000 people fitting it. I heard a fun fact about the stadium though today. When Pittsburgh comes to town at the middle of May, Connor Griffith will be the first player to play in St. Louis in that stadium after it was built.
Whoa. That's a cool stat. That makes me feel old, but that's a cool stat.
Yeah. So that's just kind of one of those cool things. Because you think about it, Bush isn't that old. It's 20 years this season.
Yeah.
And Connor Griffith is going to be the first cat to like play in it that was born after the first game.
That is crazy to think about that there's big leaguers now. That's nuts. Okay. That's a cool stat for him though. That's a neat little Jeopardy thing later on in life.
I don't think there's anybody hanging around anymore who played in Old Bush. I think Verlander's the oldest guy in the MLB, and he would have been a rookie in 06.
Yeah, he would have been. Yep. Wow.
So
I don't think there's anybody.
Kind of fun.
Dude, but
But
seeing what you said today with the panoramic and everything, that reminds me, I in 1989, like I went to, Old Bush, 1989. I remember sitting up there and just seeing empty seats all over the
not
place.
seats, sections.
Yeah, sections. Yeah. And we're in the Boy Scout section up there in the third row, but we could have moved down and sat in the third row, third base side and been fine. Nobody would notice anything.
It looks bad on TV. You can hear a lot more of the sounds. I think the fans will come back eventually. I think it'll be after the lockout. I mean, as somebody who lives about an hour and a half, 2 hours from the ballpark, I'm waiting for June. I'll probably buy a couple tickets if they're going to be $7 a pop. And someone posted this on TikTok. They're $29 seats for this weekend. The all-you-can-eat seat or whatever wherever they're calling it, cost them $80 a seat because it was a premium weekend.
Yeah, of course it was. I mean, you had the Red Sox in town, and still, you know what? If you're going to call it premium, that baseball game better be sold out. There better not be empty sections, empty seats. You cannot call it premium if you haven't sold that out.
I would agree with that. And You could even get seats tomorrow in like the Bank of America Club and things like that for around 150, which is a steal. I mean that's a fair price for the Bank of America Club. Kind of curious what the green seats are going for in the secondary market, but that's what makes me sad. When you're watching them pitch and the green seats are empty. That's how you know there's a problem.
And it's crazy. I think we looked up the other day because uh, the home opener wasn't sold out. Casey wanted to see how much the prices were, and there was seats still right up there, not the green seats, but just right above $150, right there by home plate. You're in that ninth row. I all day.
Do you think they'll come back this year, or we think it's going to be after the lock?
It's after the lockout, man. You know what? If we to see how they are in July and how people are feeling about the team and where they're setting and how they're playing, but they'll start to come back, but then I don't think your casual baseball fan is plugged in to what's going on is what we are since we're doing this, where we talk about the lockout and we read the news and everything. I don't think your casual fan sees that. I think they just want to see winning baseball. So I think we're anticipating this, but I don't think your casual fan's going to see this coming, and it's going to probably blindside them, which is going to kind of suck for baseball because I don't know if they're going to be able to. If they do lock out, I don't think they're going to come back from this.
No, it'll get worse before it gets better. It'll be significantly worse at this time. The Cleveland Guardians almost said the band word. They are in town this week. Cleveland 9-6 currently. Cardinals now 8-7 after today's loss. Devin Williams, Matthew Liberatore still seeking his first win on the Monday nighter. Tuesday night looks like we've got Joey Cantello, a lefty, Michael McGreevy, and then Wednesday the businessman special, which starts at 12:15, which we'll have. You want to bet a cold frosty one on less than 20,000?
It's good.
In attendance that night, Slade Cianani, a guy I've never heard of, against Dustin May. 2 out of 3 again is what the hope is, but what are your thoughts as we go into the Cleveland series?
I think they're what the St. Louis Cardinals want to be because Cleveland Guardians are that exact team that they think they strive for is good pitching. They develop a lot of pitching themselves, so I think it will be probably two. No, you know what? I think Cleveland's going to win this series. They're only going to win one game.
And they do have a superstar, Jose Ramirez,
Mm-hmm.
something St. Louis currently lacks, but they've got a budding one in Jordan Walker finally. Bo Naylor, pretty big talent. Sadly, I think you're right. I would like to see 2 out of 3, but I think maybe the Cardinals pick up the May start on Wednesday afternoon. But we'll see, and that's what's the best part of the game. You know, Cleveland's a fun team. They're playing Atlanta right now, so maybe a little jet lag tomorrow, where the Cardinals could probably sneak a win out.
Yeah.
Tyrell, today was Masters Sunday. Where does it reach your radar on sports days? Because let me tell you, that Sunday afternoon Masters nap hits different. It was raining in Central Missouri today. The Masters was on. 90 minutes later, I woke up and Scotty Scheffler had started to make a comeback. It's perfect.
Uh, and you got Jim Nance to lull you to sleep too with his
That's
beautiful voice.
perfect.
Yes. It's on my radar. It's not one of those things that like it used to be because you used to have to watch the Masters all the time because Tiger was in it. It's becoming a little bit more awesome now. I liked seeing Roy win back to back. That was pretty awesome. But yeah, listen to Jim Nance. I actually turned on the last 45 minutes of it just to watch that. Like, I just want to get in that Masters feeling.
Yeah, the quiet tone of Jim Nance, and then yeah, I was out. Where does the Masters nap rank for you in naps? You got the Masters nap, you got that Dallas Cowboy after Thanksgiving dinner nap, you got the Saturday the NFL draft nap. I mean, and you got the rainy home. You're at home and there's a ball game on nap. What's the best sports nap?
It has to be the Thanksgiving. Really. Like that was so I guess you as an adult it's the best, as the kids the worst. So it's um yeah, that one right for you. That's the best one right there. Cause I mean, I'm not really a Cowboys fan, so come on. I don't want to watch them.
The second quarter of the Dallas Cowboys game nap is superior.
Yes, I'm involved on that one, yes. But the Masters nap, I don't know, man. The azaleas, the chirping birds, Jim Nance. I give that a solid number 2. It's pretty tight. That's up there.
I still think NFL draft nap is nice on a Saturday because you have no idea who these guys are. You're not listening. You're just falling asleep on the couch. But yeah, you're full from the turkey dinner. I'm gonna go Masters nap 1, and then definitely the Dallas Cowboy
Heck yeah.
Thanksgiving nap is superior.
Like it.
I'll throw a wild card at you. The New Year's Day random bowl game nap before the big games.
That
You've been up late, you're hungover. The New Year's Day nap might be a sleeper for the top two spots.
That is a sleeper right there, because that is that, yeah, especially if you've hung over, drank too much, and then yeah. Yep, that's a good nap right there. That's a solid choice. You wake up refreshed, ready to go at it again. Yeah, I like that.
Watching the Gator Bowl or something ridiculous between two teams you have no idea. You never watched play all year, but it's on. You wake up right before the big games happen, before the Rose Bowl.
Mhm.
Your wife's got you up early to watch the fucking parade or some shit,
Something, yeah, why?
and now you're up ready to rock after a good Gator Bowl nap, some Black Eyed Peas, Happy New Year.
In for a good time.
Tyrell, the algorithm on the TikTok has been off lately. We've got less than 100 views on our last three videos after hitting almost 1,000 last couple ones. So for our TikTok followers here, this one's for you. Where do you watch us from? How far do we reach? Are we just local here in Missouri, even out of the ranch? Or do we even go as far, around the world? Drop in the comments where you're from, and we would love to know where you hear this podcast at, where you see these clips from.
Yeah, that'll be fun to
And
cool,
kind of
branch out, know what our audience is, where they're coming from. How you became a Cardinal fan?
Yeah, even better. Let's get a little more interaction going here. Just a kind of a high school game tonight, just 7 innings. We'll be back Thursday to kind of wrap up the Cleveland series and kind of go over the road trip in Houston. I hate Houston's ballpark since they took the hill
Mhm.
out.
Yes.
That was such a cool feature because I've got the vision of Jim Edmonds running up the hill over the shoulder catch.
Yes. Every time that pole, I love that. That was that, and it made the park unique, and that was so cool to have that.
They say that a lot. Like, imagine if you were playing in an NFL stadium and there's only 95 yards or it has some weird feature. That's what makes baseball cool. The green monster, the Crawford boxes, even dare I say the Ivy in Chicago. That's what makes baseball cool is each park is unique. But when you take out those features, it becomes generic and cookie cutter. We got away from that in the early 2000s. Three Rivers, Bush, and Cincinnati's park all look the exact same. Now there's some unique features, and when you take those out, heck, even when the Marlins had that fish tank back there and that obstrosity in center field, that was cool. Then you kind of take away what makes your ballpark cool.
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. Like, that's the uniqueness of every stadium, and it always has been. That's what's cool about baseball is not every stadium's the same.
That's going to wrap it up for us tonight. For the Mouth of the West, Tyrell Mott, I am Mitchell Jenkins, and we will see you Thursday night.